Hello and welcome back to the Intermission podcast with our first episode of 2024. As always, I am Nitin Sundar and I'm joined today by Narendra. Who are you today?
Today I'm just Ken Macha.
Hey, repeat.
Hey, last
All
time I
right.
did Kentucky. Okay, fine. I have another name. We can do it. Let's do it again.
எனக்கு
If
இன்னொரு
you're
பேர்
disappointed,
இருக்கு.
but this name you won't recognize because it's from one of the shows. So just say it's a reference to.
You only
I'll
say.
say.
Go for
I'll
it.
explain.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You can.
Okay, fine. Uh,
But
Today
Dodi,
I'm
you also have another name. ஏன்னா உங்ககிட்ட இன்னொரு பேர் இருக்கு. Who are you today, Dodi?
Today I am William Spirit Knifeman. This is from a show I don't think you watched yet, but this is from one of the shows that will turn up on my list. So we'll come to it when we come to it.
Okay,
He's a
Dodi.
spirit from the other world.
Okay. So, Dodi, teasing what this episode is going to be about, which our ardent listeners from last year might have guessed already. One of our most popular episodes in 2023, or should we say 2022, was our year-end review of all the content that we enjoyed watching in 2022. We are doing the same thing this year for 2023. That's our first episode for 2024. Okay, I mentioned a lot of numbers there. But before we go into our respective lists of things we loved watching and consuming this year, Dodi, we have an update for our listeners. Why don't you tell them?
Yeah. So, first of all, of course, Happy New Year to all our listeners from all of us here at the Intermission Pod. But as you know, every new year brings new beginnings and new changes and new ways of doing things. Listeners, we have a small little surprise for you. From now on, we're going to have a third co-host who's joining us. This is a friend of ours from long back, somebody I've been working with for a while. And Nitin, like I've been bugging you for the better part of a decade that we should start a podcast to do something. This person has also been on that list, has been harangued constantly, and has finally graciously accepted. I say accepted, but what I mean is has been beaten down and finally said, okay, Macha, enough irritation. I'll do this for you. So this is the one and only Mr. Videep Vijay Kumar. Hi, Videep. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Intermission.
Thanks, Naren. Hello, listeners. I've been badgered into doing this podcast over time by Naren. I feel like one of those witnesses on the stands in a 90s legal drama with 24 episodes.
You can't handle the truth. So, Dodi, tell us who else is on this list so that we know who's going to be on our 2025.
Yeah, I think this is it. From now on, we'll only have our guests, usual guests. We have our roster of guests, but Videep and I have worked together briefly, and he's another person that we've constantly been discussing all sorts of pop culture things and whatever else. It's my other instant messaging chat that's always passing trailers back and forth, commenting on something or the other. So only about time that he had to join us eventually on the podcast. Videep also is a writer like us. He writes for Videep. Can you give a little bit of what I've...
Right now, I'm not writing for too many people, just but in the past, I've written for several famous print and digital publications. Let's leave it at that. I have
Okay.
No, we're not going to leave you off so easily. So, Videep and I go back probably longer than you and Videep do, Dodi.
Yes.
So we used to play cricket on the streets of Roypeta back in 2000, I think. Yeah, so 24 years back now. And while Videep is very, modest about his byline appearing in publications, long before internet history even began, or I would say right at the start of whenever internet history began, there used to be this world famous blog, Son of Bosi, on which Videep Vijay Kumar was a recurring character in Anand Ramachandran's Bosi blog as, our gentle listeners or dear listeners would, by the way, this dear listeners is a reference to Everything is Everything, which is Amit Verma's new YouTube show along with Ajay Shah, where they keep saying gentle listeners and gentle readers. Sometimes I almost want to tweet them and correct them that there are no gentle readers on a YouTube show. But yeah, so gentle readers of the Bosi blog would be enthused and happy to know that we have an Abrams tank in our midst in the form of Videep Vijay Kumar. So welcome to the show, Videep. Great to have you. And yeah, Three's company. So here we go. Intermission, three-pronged strategy.
I did not know about this playing cricket in the gullies of Roypattam. I knew like cricket writing, there must be some correction. I didn't know this.
Yes.
You played kind of cricket where you were only allowed to score on the offside and it was a short pitch. That's the kind of high level cricket that we played in the streets of Roypattam.
Yeah.
Well,
Appa Kanni
good,
Street.
good.
Yes.
Well done.
All right. So let's jump straight into our review of 2023. So the format, Dodi, do you have any notes on the format? I think we have a list of what, 3 or 4 recommendations from each of us. And you have promised us that you have a very long hornbill list, honorable list of honorable mentions and
Yes.
other observations from 2023.
Yeah, as usual, if I had my way, I would have asked for a push for a top 10 list. But I think this time, since we have 3, last time we had like a 2-hour episode, if I'm not wrong, in spite of having like a top 5 list. And now with 3 people, I said, okay, you know what, it's fine. I'll push everything to honorable, and I'm not going to fight to make this a very long list. But yeah, we'll do our top 3. Before that, maybe we can just do a quick review of how the year has been for you guys. Anything that you want to talk about?
We're talking about content only, right? Or
oh no, I meant for us, how did you feel the year was, whatever. Yeah. If we don't want to talk, we can skip. I just thought like intro into the year. If anybody wants to say anything, we can say, otherwise skip. If people are not particularly jump into. Okay, fine. Fuck it. Okay. Yes.
Unless Videep has something to say. Yeah.
Resolution bits which are mandatory, which you need to do.
And a resolution at the end. We'll do resolutions at the end again. For me, same resolution last time, but just watch Mad Men.
He'll watch Mad Men.
Yeah.
Useless.
That will be that will be mine. Okay, fine. Yeah, so that's basically the format. I think we can go, everybody goes on their 3s, then their 2s, then their 1s. And if somebody has an overlap, we'll figure it out as we go along.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Perfect. Let's do this.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me pull up my notes. I'm also.
Here comes. Say hello to Dodi's little friend. His notes.
Hey, it's good to be prepared, Macha.
I'm jealous you're able to make notes at all, to be honest.
To be clear, I made notes in the last half hour that we pushed the podcast forward. So it's not particularly like major notes.
My notes are basically hitting the previous page on Ducky and seeing if I watched something or if I remembered not watching something.
What is Ducky?
It's like a calendar thing that you can use to maintain shows you watch, and it tells you when the shows are dropping, when each episode is coming out. And
okay, I should check that out.
In fact, we should do one episode on like helpful apps and features and whatever. It's not a bad idea.
நீங்க Spotify install பண்ணீங்கன்னா you can hear us talk. அங்கே தான் ஆரம்பிப்போம்.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'll go first. My number 3. Of course, again, these are not necessarily just things we watched. It could be any like pop culture happenings of the year and all of that. So my number 3, as usual, I'll start with a cheat and try to encompass more than one thing. But yeah, my number 3 is Barbenheimer. Just the entire concept of both those movies coming together, both those movies in their own right as pieces of content, but just the idea that everybody, I say everybody, but everybody who watches movies came on board and said, you know what, these two things can coexist. It doesn't have to be one versus the other. I think that was like for me, it was very exciting thing to see people get excited about 2 movies at one time instead of pitting them against each other. And it's very easy to pit those 2 movies against each other. They're clearly on opposite sides of the spectrum. One's very male skewed, one's very like pink and female skewed and all of that. So it's very easy to turn this into a us versus you and whatever it is. But the way in which this kind of organically formed, Barbenheimer was not a marketing term that came up from somewhere. It was an organic thing. And of course, after that, it got piled on by marketing departments of both the studios. But for me, that was a big thing for this year in terms of just getting everybody out to watch movies. Both those movies did tremendous business. Barbie, I think, landed up at 1.5 billion for the year, and Oppenheimer came close to a billion. Neither of those two movies should have done the kind of business that they did. Even Oppenheimer, sure, Nolan, whatever else, but it's still R-rated. It's still 3R plus. It's a biopic of like the person who made the nuclear bomb. It's not even some action-packed epic like Tenet or anything else. Not that Tenet did well, but at least that you can imagine being in the space of something that could do well. So, uh, you know, just the idea that people will still come out for movies like this, people will still pay money to watch 3 hours in the theater.
So I have one basic question. Who actually came up with the term Barbenheimer? Was it the marketing department of Barbie or Oppenheimer, or was it just, Sepinwall or somebody like that?
To my understanding, it's just somebody did the usual portmanteau thing and it just came up. For all you know, there'll be some behind marketing person who threw it in, but the known history is that just people portmanteaued two names together and came up with Barbenheimer, and then it stuck. Your usual hashtag, and it's a hashtag that went viral, caught fire, and then you
Like a
had all
chain
of this.
reaction. It's set in motion, a chain reaction, and the world is continuing to suffer. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my number 3. Of course, the movies themselves also had their own cultural impact beyond what the marketing thing did. And I think nobody in this last year has not heard of Barbenheimer or not been part of Barbenheimer in some way, shape, or form.
Indeed. And we did an entire episode where we thought the
Yes.
portmanteau of just 2 films was not good enough. So we clubbed together Mission Impossible and Jailer to come up with what is the name of our episode? Heimlich Maneuver, whatever. I don't even remember anymore.
Jailmere.
Jailmere. So
yeah, because we're Indians, Macha. It has to be masala, right? You can't do just one or two things.
So we would request our gentle readers to go back and listen to that episode. But since we have Videep on this episode, would love to get Videep's thoughts on Barbenheimer, and if either of those movies, which one he liked better, and if either of those movies actually had as big an impact on him as all the marketing around them seemed to suggest they would.
Yeah, I'll start by dropping the bomb that I've actually not watched Oppenheimer yet. Theory would mean that I've missed 50% of Barbenheimer, but because of the movie's running length, I feel I've missed 90% of Barbenheimer. So yeah, my only other thoughts on Barbenheimer is, yes, I think the whole interaction on the internet was awesome, and I just did a little bit of basic internet research while you were talking about it to see who really came up with it. There's no real source, you're right. It's like just a bunch of people on Twitter claiming that they invented it, predictably enough.
It's like Andrew Miller came up with baseball, which nobody realized for a long time. Cricket reference, which went over Dodi's head. It's nice to now and then send stuff over Dodi's head, because mostly it's the other way around on this podcast. So we are allowed one bouncer and over, macha. Back at you. But so how did you like Barbie, Videep? You didn't tell us.
Narendra and I did have a discussion about it. I thought I really liked aspects of it. Like technically, I thought it was really good, but I really didn't feel the movie as a storytelling device. I don't think it succeeded as much as people give it credit for. But I did really enjoy a lot of the technical aspects, like the production design specifically. The soundtrack was really well put together. In fact, at one point on Spotify, the top 8 songs were Barbie songs, like in the international. So which was pretty, and good performances all around. But I don't think it was for me, but I do understand why people like it and like it.
Fantastic. Cool.
Speaking of the songs, 3 of them on the shortlist for best song and Oscar. Only 2 can make it. So between Dua Lipa and Ryan Gosling's I'm Just Ken, and the third I think is Billie Eilish. What was I made for? By the way, we should also link to Ryan Gosling and what's the guy's name? Mark what? Was that music producer?
Ronson.
Mark Ronson. They've released a Christmas album with 3 or 4 different versions of I'm Just Ken. There's like a speakeasy version and there's something else. So maybe you can put a link to that in the show notes. It's a fun thing.
I would actually be surprised if Dance the Night did not win. I think it will win.
it's, I think what they need to do, we're getting now into Oscars territory, but what they need to do definitely is somehow get everybody to come and perform the songs. Like you should just do an Oscar concert and have all of these people come. At least that will generate some like star power, star wattage for the stage for people to watch. So if nothing else, that should happen. But yeah, wins remain to be seen.
I do think they will do something of that kind because Barbenheimer was too much of a movement not to be continued to milk going into Oscar season for whatever it's worth, because nobody's going to really remember it much beyond 2024. So why not make it count?
And you're not going to pass up the chance to have a movie star singing on stage, to have Ryan Gosling come on stage wearing whatever costume and then singing will be its own thing. So I'm sure they'll find a way to make that happen.
Indeed.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, who's going next? Number 3.
Videep, you want to go?
I've got a bunch of things that are not in any particular order, but I have a very specific number 3, which is the fact that Leo Das made more money than Killers of the Flower Moon in the US.
Leo beats Leo.
In fact, by Leo, I needed to be very. I want to clarify because there's another movie called Leo, which is an animated movie, and that's not
also.
So
which
this
also
is
released
actually
more or less the same weekend as on Netflix, right?
4 days before the Leo that everybody was waiting for, the animated Leo landed up on Netflix, and people were like clicking away to glory, like try to scratch that itch. But I don't know, Videep, we might have spoken about this on the WhatsApp group. But did you see those viral forwards where Leonardo DiCaprio reached out to Joe Biden and asked him to release some screens for Killers of the Flower Moon, because Vijay now opening had completely taken away all theaters in New York City and Los Angeles and other American cities.
Yes, you mentioned.
So, by the way, you haven't clarified which of the 3 Leos is number 3 for you, or are they 3, 2, and 1 respectively?
Too many numbers again, but I'm just saying in no particular order.
Dodi, did you watch Leo, the Vijay film, eventually?
Yes.
Did you not?
I did. We discussed. Yeah, I did.
I didn't expect this list to have too many overlaps, but at least we have a few pieces of content that all of us seem to have watched, without counting Oppenheimer.
Correct. I watched Leo. Usual fun kind of whatever. Like I don't get as much out of it with all the cultural references, as you know. That being said, I think actually good question. I'm not sure if it's slightly better than Vikram or slightly worse than Vikram. It's somewhere there only for me. They're both in the same place. Now I'm really shocked. But yeah, I genuinely feel these guys can make better movies if they're a little bit more like constrained in the way they do things. I think they try to do too many things at one time, and it's just like, stuff is all in the air. It's all cool ideas with no real grounding behind them. Like if they did 80% of what they did, and even Vikram, I would say the same thing. If we did 80% what we're doing, but that 80% they like paid more attention to and let those moments sit and hold and all of that, I would have enjoyed that a lot more. Same for Leo.
So Videep, tell us what impact did Leo leave you with?
Movie, not so much, but again, I feel like, I don't know why, but the soundtrack did leave a very strong impact on me. Both the lyrical content, just the vibe, and the beat drops, man.
Leo Das, he's a freaking badass.
Dodi, of course, a connoisseur of these English lyrics showing up in Indian cinema songs. He loves them, as we have discussed before on this podcast. But
multiple times. I will continue to die on that hill. But
No, so Leo, we should spend a moment more talking about that music, right? So Leo released late in the year, September types, right? If I remember right. So you had like 2-3 months of Badassama and Lokiverse 2.0 for them to make it to the top of my Spotify chart, and they actually did. So it just tells you this Anirudh seems to have got the whole beat drop and hook step reels virality thing down to a T, like nobody else in India has. And we saw that with Jawan as well. And frankly, Jawan wasn't his strongest work, right? I thought Leo and Vikram significantly, both movies enhanced quite a bit, and Jailer as well was, in fact, at the Jailer success or the Jailer pre-release meet that happened, Rajnikant actually went on stage and said something very controversial. He said, "We after the movie was shot, I saw the rushes and everything. It seemed like a fairly average movie, and then I think it's only going to become a hit, or it became a hit because of the music." He literally
Oh,
said that
full
Anirudh
credit.
took an average film and made it excellent, right? And he was like waxing eloquent about
Yeah.
this guy. And there is something, I don't know, he probably just injects dopamine into his music. It's tough to understand why his music is, the way it is, but it's extremely catchy. You can't not
Yeah.
listen to the stuff that he puts out.
He's got good earworming instincts.
That's a
Apart
good
from
way
that, what you were saying about virality and all of that, our friend of the pod, Barry, also, I was chatting with him and he was talking about, I think he did a little bit of like deep dive into Anirudh's methods. And he found a lot of this, the right kind of reels at the right time,
Yeah.
turning things into a success. I think there's a huge social media machinery behind the scenes that's also ensuring that these things really hit the way they would want them to hit.
That
So
is
there's a lot.
so. Yeah, at least in Tamil cinema, right? Like most of the top new age music directors are fairly young guys, right? But nobody seems to have the pulse of virality the way this guy does. I'm sure like Santosh Narayan is probably more talented as a musician than compared to Anirudh. And there are others
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. There's Yuvan Shankar Raja, of course, Rahman and Ilayaraja and all are probably beyond that generation. But you would expect all these guys to have that impact, right? But somehow Anirudh just hits. But apart from the music, I don't think there are too many movies where we'll have overlaps. So I do have some thoughts on Leo. So I would love to share them.
Yes, yes.
um,
Chepu.
so, it's this usual sort of graph that the directors in Tamil cinema seem to be going through, right? You have these new age directors who break through. They come up with something dramatically original, stand out. And Lokesh did that with his first film. It was a movie called Managram. I don't know if you've seen it, Dodi. It's no big stars. It's connected reality with events that happen unfold in Madras city over the period of a night, and they are somewhat loosely connected. And it's just extremely well done movie on a small budget with small stars, and that got him attention. And then he did Kaidi, which was sort of a medium budget move because Karthi was not really a massive hero. He's more of a mid-rung hero. And then he's had like Master and Vikram and now Leo, right? Which are all big star blockbuster, not blockbuster, I'd say big star movies attempting to become blockbusters. But the grammar of a Tamil movie completely changes the moment a big star comes on board, right? And Lokesh himself spoke about it in some of the interviews he's given after Leo came out, how the moment a big star comes on board, there is a ticking time bomb on the head of a director. He needs to, because he only gets so many dates with the big actor, so he needs to complete his script, get his screenplay ready, get his pre-production done, go into production, finish post-production, because they announce the release date right then, the moment a star signs on. And that completely sort of stunts, I would say, the creative process that a director goes through. Not only does it put a time pressure on the director, I think it also puts a creative sort of pressure on the director, because the moment you have a star, you need to cater to the star's sort of image and all of that. And Leo really suffers because of that, right? In the second half, you have a flashback, which after the movie release, the flashback portion was completely incoherent and didn't really fare well. And then the director came up with his own concept on how, the whole flashback was probably imagined, because it probably did not happen. It was a story that Mansoor Ali Khan says when he's sitting in the jail. So maybe it never happened. And this became a thing. And it was actually funny to see how a lot of Vijay fans were like, oh, actually, it was bad, but that's because it never happened. Right? So stuff that actually happened was all good. And he himself explained it, saying, oh, we had to have, certain things there for Vijay sir, because the first half of the film, he's playing a very silent sort of, he's under the radar, and we needed to have the explosive, action sequences. We needed to have a song for him, and you have a song out of nowhere. The song standalone is great fun, where you also have Arjun and Mansoor Ali Khan. There was this scene where all three of them are dancing, and it's like, Chinese whispers what the dance master told you to do, what you think that dance master told you to do, what you actually did. Because Vijay can dance really well, and Mansoor Ali Khan, God bless him, is at the other extreme when it comes to abilities to dance and all of that. But yeah, extremely strange movie, a movie that I enjoyed watching nevertheless. The second half was bizarrely bad. Flashes of Lokesh's brilliance still managed to come out, because I think he's a great director of action sequences, and you have some insane action choreography in that film. I think there are 2 or 3 scenes, there's that cafe shootout, and then there is something that happens in a warehouse.
You keep calling it shootout, Macha. The only shooting that happens is the end of that scene, one shot.
What would you call it? A cafe
fight scene.
Yeah.
Call it an action scene, fight scene. Last time we were discussing, you were
You're
like,
right.
cafe shootout. I'm like, which shootout? There's one gun.
One gun, 3 bullets, Machan. That's good enough. But yeah, okay, cool. That's more than what you normally see in a Mexican standoff, which is 2 shots. Sometimes just one. But so those were my thoughts on Leo. Very strange movie. And I also think Lokesh has sort of batted himself into a strange corner with this entire Lokesh cinematic universe, connected universe. It seemed like a great idea to start with, but some of it was just pandering in this movie. And he's clearly no Kevin Feige. Let's put it that way.
Feige.
I just want to add
Kevin Feige.
A couple of things about Mansoor Ali Khan specifically, since that was the main topic of discussion, not just Leo. One is, it's not the only thing he said that became a thing this year. 1, 2, and the second is, did you guys hear about this Mansoor Ali Khan metadata problem on Indian streaming services, where it was listed that Mansoor Ali Khan was Sharmila Tagore?
What?
Pataudi. Dodi, that's the second bouncer for the over that's going to go over your head.
This at least I get, Macha.
You did, huh? So Tiger Pataudi, you know Tiger Pataudi,
yes.
By the way, do you know that he had a goat side?
Glass.
You know that?
Yeah.
Oh, was it glass? Yeah, probably a glass eye.
No, but tell what is this? How did this happen?
His name is Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi. So.
Oh, Mansoor Ali Khan. No, just the name confusion.
It was a human error in data entry, or it was AI picking it up incorrectly. It's one of those two.
Sorry. I forgot the Mansoor Ali Khan Pataudi part. I was just thinking Tiger Pataudi. I'm like, who corrected these two? Okay, Wow.
I'm just imagining the reverse, right? Like Trisha says what she did, and then the cops show up at Saif Ali Khan's house saying, knock, knock, we want to meet your dad. Sir, our settu romba naal aayichu. Shivaji settara.
No, but to loop back on the topic of these metadata and things not realizing what is, like, systems not realizing the difference between 2 names, Leo being a case in point, where Leo, the animated movie, as well as this Leo as well. I don't know if you guys remember, I wonder if I discussed this with you. Do you remember when briefly during, I'm tempted to say 2019 or 2020, there's this Angelina movie called Wanted. Okay, Angelina Jolie and
Salman Khan.
This.
That's where you're going, I know.
Yes. That has been, it's a 2008 or 7 movie or something. But for some reason, it started massively jumping on Netflix. Like, it came into the top 10 of Netflix in the August of whichever year, 2019 or 2020.
Correct. Yeah.
Because Salman Khan's Wanted,
of course,
sequel, that Radhe or whatever it was called, is coming out. People are searching for Wanted. This has come up. And thanks to Netflix doing autoplay, it's like, it's become played. And therefore, it's like, it's number 1. And nobody's heard of this movie. Nobody's watched this movie in 20 years. So, systems not quite realized.
That's going to happen again with David Fincher's Fight Club. When Fight Club.
When Fight Club comes.
Tamil film called Fight Club.
Yes.
That's coming out. Macha, this is nothing. When Amir Khan became anti-national, our countrymen uninstalled Snapdeal. They wanted to uninstall Snapdeal, but they ended up uninstalling Snapchat app.
Yeah.
Snapchat boycott trended on Twitter for like 5 days. Right? So another example of this whole meta tagging issue. This is not really meta tagging, more like dark marketing or whatever. So one of my favorite, actually my all-time favorite greatest film, so mic drop, is Aburo Sagodharargal, which is a Kamal Hassan film from 1989, where he plays twins and the father and one of the twins. Everyone knows Apuraja, Aburo Sagodharargal. Anyway, so that movie unfortunately is not on YouTube. but every now and then I'll go onto YouTube to search for that film. And Apurva Sagodarargal means, special brothers. Apurvam actually means what, like fantastic brothers, right? There is another Tamil film called Apurva Sagodarigal, which is fantastic sisters. Now, there's someone who has uploaded that movie's video, but he's put Apurva Sagodaragal's poster on it. So every time I go and click on that, thinking that film will start and bloody, it's some random shit.
Content baiting.
It's called KLPD. Yeah, yes. Content baiting, not really meta tagging. Sure, KLPD of the first order. Anyway.
Fair enough.
It's remarkable that this guy has managed to paint a huge target for a takedown, but the video is still on.
Yes.
It's not really. Who's going to take this down? It's a victimless crime. I'm the only victim here, right? And nobody's fighting for justice. So every 3 months I'll go click on it like bad joke again.
It's an APM movie. I'm sure they have some digital rights management stuff happening somewhere.
On that note, Kamal Hassan famously, a lot of his great films from the 90s and before, they're not there anywhere. Lots of Raj Kamal movies. If you want to get an original DVD print of Mahanadi or Guna or Devar Magan, you can't, because that fucker has just not sort of gone and done. There are people who want to watch these films. All these films didn't do all that well when they came out. Everyone said 25 years later, people talk about these movies. That is now. They're talking about these movies, but nobody can watch them anyway.
No, but that's a worthwhile thing. No, some people at least should have the money or want to put the money to at least go and find old prints and do one pristine transfer.
Send the facts to Criterion Collection.
Wow.
One thing I wanted to say about what you were saying in the beginning about Leo and these directors who come out of nowhere, independent directors. This is a trend that's been happening in Hollywood as well. A lot of the big blockbuster movies, I think their studios prefer potentially to have a less established director in certain situations, because then you can, at least for IP related things. Let me rephrase this. When studios have big IPs that they want to monetize or make movies on, of course, always useful to have a big name attached to it. But if you have enough of the stars, they are generally okay with going with a lesser known director so that they can control the storytelling, control everything else. And Marvel is a great example. There are people who have done like Little Miss Sunshine and whatever and come there. Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, whatever, the last 3-4 movies is all Colin Trevorrow, who's only made 1 or 2 really tiny independent movies like 7-8 years ago and then got sucked into this machinery, right? So I think there's something to be said also for studios and or stars wanting to be the dominant creative voice or dominant voice on set and saying, let me just get somebody who I can push around. I'm not saying that has to be the same case everywhere, but that's it's a pattern that people are seeing. Some manage to make something out of it, some don't. So that's up to, I guess, the directors and the particular kind of project that it is. But yeah, that was one thing.
Yeah, and interesting point. There is the whole IP challenge is not really there in Tamil cinema. I keep talking about Tamil cinema, but that's all I know about. But I think it's true for all Indian cinema itself.
But here the IP is the star, right? That's what, in this case.
Exactly. The IP is the star. Yeah. So
Vijay's persona is an IP by itself, all surrender.
So the way this whole thing works is the star, or rather the production house, I think, approaches the star, and then somehow a director comes on board, and then there's almost like a gun for hire, and then a story is written keeping that star and his persona in mind.
Correct.
And then it goes on the floor. So it's a very convoluted process. The chance of getting something good out of this process is very less, and which is why you often see gloriously unwatchable stuff coming out. But
true.
So it goes.
Yeah. So that was the whole idea of Leo and Leo beating Leo at the box office. Number 3 for Videep. Nitin, your number 3.
My number 3. I'm going to read the IMDb summary, which is gloriously confusing and which sort of fits in well with what this movie is about. A group of Malayali travelers returning to Kerala by bus after their visit to Velankanni doze off in a lazy nap. When James stops the bus in a village in Tamil Nadu, Sundaram behaves like him and confuses them. He walks amidst faith, delusion, dream, and trance.
What is happening?
I can't think of a better description of this movie because it is gloriously unhinged and completely incomprehensible, a bit like the movie itself. So the movie I'm talking about is Nanpagal Nerathu Mayakam,
Very
which
good.
is Lijo Jose Pelliceri's film that came out in actually late 2022, but I think it really got a release and was only seen widely in 2023. That's when I saw it. So it makes my list. It's a movie I saw early in the year. So, Lijo Jose Pelliceri, of course, is a very popular director known for Imayu, Ankamali Diaries, Jallikattu, all very critically acclaimed masterpieces. And Nanpagal Nerathu Mayakam is nothing short of a masterpiece as well. It stars Mammootty, and I think we could do a separate episode or maybe a separate podcast on Mammootty and where
Yes.
his career has gone and where he's rather chosen to take it. It's an interesting topic to talk about, especially in the context of what we were just talking about, which is star power and
Yeah.
how stars choose to maintain or ring fence their IP, and a lot of that ring fencing is down to how they perceive their own images and how their fans perceive their image. So Mammootty is someone who's completely swimming against the tide there. He's 71, 72 years old. He has 3 national awards. I think everybody knows what Mammootty has accomplished over the years. Was the biggest star or one of the 2 biggest stars in Malayalam cinema for many years. In this late stage of his career, he has chosen to completely do only stuff that is interesting. And there's no other way to put it.
Nice.
He's been taking such wild swings in the last 3-4 years, which, by the way, nobody really saw because in that pair of Mohanlal and Mammootty, Mohanlal was the performer. Mammootty was always perceived as the star, right? The Rajni Kamal equivalent.
Yeah.
He was the Rajnikant. But what we actually see is Mohanlal actually has floundered quite a bit in the last few years, and not too many of his movies have really hit the spot. Mammootty, on the other hand, has just gone and started doing all kinds of weird stuff, right? And in fact, there is another movie that released recently. It's called Katal the Core, which has also been in the news, where he plays a homosexual, which is quite quite a move for a star in Indian cinema, right? And that's a movie, by the way, which is not streaming where I live. It wasn't even released where I live in Dubai because of the quality, because of the content, right? And I'm waiting to watch that film. I can't find it anywhere yet, but it's also got rave reviews. But yeah, so this Mammootty playing the titular, not titular, he plays the protagonist in this movie. A more understandable description of this film, which I assume the two of you have not watched, is so it's a bunch of Malayali pilgrims who have who have gone to Velankani, which is a Christian shrine in Tamil Nadu. So they've gone by bus to pray over there, and they're returning to Kerala by bus. And midway during that journey, when everyone in the bus is asleep, right? Mammootty, who is one of the people in the bus, his name is James, wakes up, asks the driver to stop the bus, steps out of the bus, and wanders into a Tamil Nadu village in the border between Kerala and Tamil Nadu, and assumes the identity of a Tamil person who has been missing in that village for the previous couple of years. And he leads his life as that Tamil person for a day. Before he comes back into his senses, goes back with his group, back into the bus, and all the way back to Kerala. This is the story. This pretty much the plot summary of the movie. It was inspired, by the way, by a television ad which came for, I think, Kitplay or something. We should probably link that in the show notes. This is a funny ad about how it's an ad about how the product Kitplay, I think, or furniture, whatever they make, is timeless. And there's this small kid who sort of, goes. He basically sees the chair and he goes and he sits there and sort of become. He's actually it's almost like reincarnation or something.
Right.
Apparently, that story sort of inspired this movie. It is just a fantastic film. It's 1 hour and 45 minutes. I think it's on Netflix.
It's finally on Netflix.
For a variety of reasons.
You've been telling me for a while, but it's finally on Netflix here. So it's
not finally that. It's been on Netflix forever.
Here
it wasn't.
Europe, it did not have. I've been looking for it.
Okay.
It now turned up and it turned up in the queues now. So I know it's been pushing because it knows I was searching. Go ahead. So yeah, it's on my queue.
Got it. So the reason why the film is interesting, I mean, I think there's plenty we can talk about the film. The movie, by the way, popped up again the last couple of weeks because I started seeing it do the rounds on a bunch of people's lists of the top movies that they saw. I probably would have forgotten about it because it came quite early in the year.
Yeah.
I revisited it thanks to the fact that people mentioned it. It was a movie that really left an impact on me, and yeah, it's even more fun in the second viewing. Um, Tough to have a conversation on the film given that you guys haven't really watched it,
Ah.
but
Okay, it's a
what
recommendation.
it is a great recommendation.
Yeah.
Definitely do watch it. There is so much that happens in this film, right? It is bizarre because nobody. So there is his family and his group that came with him by bus, which doesn't understand what he's doing. There is this family that he walks into, where the wife sees him talk the way he behaves and is reminded of her husband. He assumes the identity of that husband. He starts talking to her like he's always known her. He goes out, he starts selling milk the way the husband used to, right? He tries to feed the cow. He goes out, he asks people, why is the temple being built here? There was nothing here when I was here last. And they're like, no, the temple has been built for the last 2 or 3 years, which is when that person, the original person, disappeared, etc. So it's magical realism. It's it's like Gabriel Garcia Marquez just showed up one fine day and wrote a Tamil film in Malayalam. The other thing about the film is the duality, right? So the fugue between staying awake and staying asleep. There is a lot of Tamil versus Malayalam, Hindu versus Christianity in this. There's a lot of duality. There's also a lot of blending of concepts. What makes this film really, really interesting, though, is the way it is framed, right? So so one of the things the film is trying to say, this group of people who are going to Velankani is actually it's a drama troupe, right? And in a sense, it's also Lido Dios Pelliceri's tribute to the famous Malayalam actor Tilakan, who used to run a drama troupe, which is where Lido's dad used to work. So the film tries to frame everything like the stage of a theater production, right? So every scene looks like people coming and playing a part. And it's a concept that keeps getting repeated through the film as well. In fact, there is a very direct reference to All the World's a Stage in the film. The way scenes move, we're all now used to so many of these fast cuts. We just spoke about Leo, all these zoom cuts and tight cuts, edits, and all of that. This one is just frame after frame after frame, with people coming into the frame, going out of the frame. The framing is extremely innovative in this film. I don't know. People keep saying that art films are all about, you shouldn't be over relying on music. You shouldn't be doing gimmicks. You should be letting the movie breathe and speak for itself. You need the story to sort of tell itself. This film really did that for me. Very often art films don't tend to do that. They tend to bore you if you're not an educated film viewer, and I'm not one. There was another film that I saw recently. It's called Kurangal, which by the way was India's official entry to the Oscars a year back or something, a couple of years back. It won a lot of awards, suddenly became popular, and much later it has come on to OTT quite recently. So it's another film that I would recommend you watch. But that's a film that bores you a bit. It is again an art film, but it's an art film that bores you. But this film just totally hits it out of the park. And Mammootty playing the role of a Malayali who assumes a Tamil identity is just perfect, because as a person who has watched Malayalam films and Tamil films and has watched Mammootty in both, you know that he's someone who can't really speak Tamil too well. He speaks Tamil the way a Malayali would. And that just totally works in this film because that's exactly what he's doing. I can't recommend it enough. Definitely watch Nanpagal Neratha Mayakam, gentle readers.
Yes.
And gentle panelists. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been telling me for a while, and it's like I said, it finally turned up on local Netflix here, so we'll watch it soon. I've got this.
Once you're done with Mad Men,
yeah, of course. Okay, so that was your number 3, Nanpakal Neratha Mayakam. Okay, number 2. Let me go with my number 2. My number 2 is this movie.
I have a question. Sorry. I have a question. Is this just top 3 irrespective? Is that the entire list, or is there like a top 3 movie list, top 3 pop culture thing list? Just a general.
We're just throwing everything in.
Okay,
Macha, if we do top 3 for each of those, then this will become a 10-hour episode, and people will have it in their 2024 best thing I listened to in 2024.
Yeah.
This will become that is the problem.
No, it's all in one only. We're just like throw things around.
No, but
feel free.
The only reason I'm not telling you feel free to add more things is because then Dodi will add 7 more things to his top 3. That is the only reason I'm not. But you feel free to if you have to.
Learned by this before. Understood.
Okay, so my number 2. My number 2 is this movie called Past Lives. Viewers in India will be able to watch it on Lionsgate Play, of all the places. I've suddenly realized that Lionsgate Play's got like a relatively interesting eclectic list of content. So some of those will come up in my honorable mentions as well. But yeah, Past Lives. Have either of you seen it? I know I've been telling
So-
people to watch it.
No, Past Lives has been on my to-watch list with Shruti, my wife, for the last 2 months.
Okay.
We repeatedly say, hey, let's watch Past Lives today. And it'll either be me saying, hey, I think I'll fall asleep in half an hour, let's just watch Seinfeld. Or it'll be her saying, I have a call in another half an hour, so let's just watch like Abhishek Upamanyu's stand-up act.
Yeah.
And so on. So it
Upamanyu
continues
fan,
to be on our list.
Ah.
We're recently converted Upamanyu fan.
Hey, Upamanyu is good
fun.
Ah.
He's good fun, yeah. So
Videep?
yeah, it continues to be on our to-watch
Yes.
list. Maybe in a future life, which
Yes.
is 2024.
Correct. Did you?
Nobody
Videep,
got the joke.
before-
Past lives, machan.
Past life, future
life.
life. Yes.
Okay.
But I like
acknowledge the
connecting.
joke, that don't be like that. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Did you?
Videep is still not acknowledging. What a guy. Okay.
No, Past Lives is on one of the lists I'd made with the top 3 in no particular order of movies that I haven't watched that I want to watch.
What
New
should
list.
be my top 3? This is like next level top.
Compliment of.
Yeah, correct. Maths
It's
jokes.
number 1 in the list of 3 movies that I wanted to watch this year but couldn't watch, or I'm not sure if they're releasing this year. It's the rest of the other movies are The Iron Claw and Ferrari.
Yeah, it'll come much. Ferrari and Ferrari is coming out now only here. It released in the US a couple of weeks ago. It's coming out here now. It'll come. Anyway, sorry. So back to Past Lives. Past Lives, movie by this filmmaker called Celine Song. I think a first or maybe second movie. But it's basically the story of a Canadian-American immigrant woman set in the present time. She and her American husband, and she gets contacted by her childhood friend, this guy called Haesung from Korea, who doesn't speak English, is learning a little bit of English, but he comes to visit her. He's coming to the US for a trip, and he catches up with her and visits her. And she had left Korea when she was 10 years old or something like that. So, on the face of it, it looks like this love triangle thing where she's going to get reminded of this childhood sweetheart of hers. He clearly has some unresolved feelings for her. But the movie is really about nostalgia, memories, letting go, being able to say goodbye, not just to relationships or to people, but even to the person that you were, right? For her, also being able to eventually say goodbye to who she was when she was 12 versus who she is now. And there's this great little concept that they talk about called Inyan. I'll read the dialogue. We can cut in the actual scene. I'll send you the clip. So she's basically explaining this concept, and to just when she's about to seduce her going to be husband. And she says, Inyan, it's a Korean word. It means providence or fate, but it's specifically about relationships between people. It's an Inyan if 2 strangers even walk by each other in the street and their clothes accidentally brush, because it means there must have been something between them in their past lives. If 2 people get married, they say it's because there have been 8,000 layers of Inyan over 8,000 lifetimes. And it explores this idea of we're all somehow connected in some way. The star Get Ali, she jokes that Celine Song and her keep talking about them having had Indian and being married at some point in time. But I would draw a parallel between this and, in some sense, Everything Everywhere All at Once, without all the fantastical aspects of it, but just you have one life, you have been reincarnated many times, so there have been other versions of your lives, but how do those connect? How do those relationships mean anything? And how do you hold on to them, but also find a way to say goodbye? It's 3-4 years ago, there was this movie called Portrait of a Lady on Fire, French movie that I watched. It was a big movie that year. I watched and it kept coming back to me. Past Lives is that kind of movie where I've seen it some 3 months ago, but
You had Indian with Portrait in the Lady of Fire. That is right.
correct. And now I have Indian with Past Lives. It's just constantly coming back to me. I remember like scenes from the movie. I remember things they're talking about. That final ending, last scene of the movie is simply amazing. Very simple, straightforward, 3-person story. But yeah, just a great little thing that sticks with you for a long, long time.
So the film isn't about 2 people who knew each other meeting again, reestablishing connection, but it's more about past lives. Is that what
No, it's about
not
this.
just
No. There's nothing fantastical. The Past Lives is just a concept that they talk about.
It's a concept.
But
so
it's
basically
just
96 remade in Korean.
Something like that. Yes, I haven't watched 96, but yes, similar.
Okay.
Childhood, this thing comes. He
Got it.
meets the husband as well. They all go out for dinner. It's this awkward thing, but they're all also having their little
Interesting.
relationships and everything. And he's learning Korean, but he doesn't understand very fast conversation. So he can catch bits of what they're saying, but she has to speak to
Awesome.
the old friend in Korean. So there's all of this being left out of a person you're with has had a life before you. And by that past life,
Exactly.
we don't
Yeah.
mean like reincarnations also. We just mean literally,
Understood.
he does not know the 12-year-old version of his wife. He has never had a chance to meet
Good.
that person. He's only met this Americanized, westernized
Exactly.
version of his
Yeah.
wife. So being able to see that, seeing how she is with that memory of herself and how she herself is grappling with, when I was a kid, I had a crush on this guy, but that doesn't mean that I currently have any kinds of feelings for him beyond like he's part of my history or whatever. So they're all grappling with these things. It's just a story that happens in like a day. There's some flashbacks to when they were kids and all that. But yeah, very moving, very nice, simple storytelling. Hopefully we'll get some awards love also, and should get on more people's lists, or at least people should watch it. At least
Okay.
our, like I said, our listeners in India hopefully should be able to watch it on Lionsgate Play. Please do.
Lovely. Oh, yeah, I definitely mean to watch this film. As I said, hopefully sooner than later. Actually, it's a pity I didn't watch it. Right. So I don't know how seriously anybody should take these lists, given
Yeah.
the whole list of movies that I've not watched, which I only want to watch.
Yeah.
Forget movies which I never heard about. But yeah.
But yeah, just to add on, you should definitely watch it when you guys are in the mood to sit for that 2 hours and watch it. Like, don't
Yeah.
do it in the half an hour breaks and all. Like, go into it. It's that kind of movie.
Yeah.
But not like super heavy or anything. Just you want to be in the zone. Okay, that was my number 2. Whose turn is it? Videep, number 2.
It's not one specific thing at number 2, but it's just a bunch of British TV shows that were very interesting to watch.
Well done.
The Gold is an obvious one, which is about a gold heist that happened in the 90s, which is it's really well paced. It has a lot of almost relentless emphasis on the class system in Britain, and sometimes it punches you in the face with that stuff. It's great. It's got a great cast. Anybody who's watched any British TV shows will recognize a lot of the cast. It also has Lord Grantham from Downton Abbey playing a police officer or head of police, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So Gold was good. Then there's this the other British.
Sorry, I'll just very quickly jump in on Gold. In terms of the number of people that you would recognize, also our Fargo current whatever personification of evil. What's his name? Ole Munch.
Ole Munch.
Ole Munch is the last person, the one they haven't yet caught. The guy in Spain on the phone at the swimming pool. So he's also there. But yeah, everybody's there.
He lives here now. Okay.
Yeah, he lives here now. Just like Mammootty lives in that house now. Huh? See, I'm listening, Macha. I wanted to crack that joke that time, but you were in the zone of Nanpakal, so I said, okay. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, Gold. Yes, great echo, good fun.
Gold was good. Stonehouse is pretty good. It has Matthew McFadden from Succession. He plays a British politician. It's a true story of a British politician who basically goes to Australia and just starts a new life with his mistress, pretending to have died. It's
I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's a mini series. I think it's 3 or 4 episodes. It's short and it's solid. It's again well acted, well written, solid British. We don't want to spend too much time and waste your time with this, so that was pretty good. Also, Hijack on Apple TV was great, which stars Idris Elba. It's about a plane. Yeah. Also features a few Malayalis.
James Bond.
There's that.
Oh,
keeping with the theme. But they're not there in the show for very long, but they're there in the show because it is after all set in Dubai.
Yes.
But okay. Not like any known faces, I'm guessing.
No.
It is. Yeah, I think it's a bunch of local actors. It was some co-production, I believe. Nitin can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So it's basically about a flight that's been hijacked on the way to England from the UAE. If I say anything more, it'd probably be spoilery. So that was good to watch. Then Silo was pretty good. It's a British show masquerading as an American show. It's an all British cast speaking with fake American accents, which is always good. It's a science fiction show starring Rebecca Ferguson, who was also in one of the. As I made my list of movies that I watched this year, turns out it makes the top 5. That's Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Uh, but yeah, it's a science fiction show where they're all in sort of an underground. I don't even know how to describe it. Sort of like the video game Fallout. They're in a silo and they don't know what's happening on the world. There's been like nuclear fallout, and it's about what happens there. So yeah, bunch of British TV shows, all solid as always. I think all of these are new, and of course, Slow Horses, which just came back last month.
Dodi is like, come to the climax. What is the interval block wasting time? Tell Slow Horses and go. Because otherwise I was going to attack Dodi.
Yeah.
He recommended one British show to me and none of you came up with a full laundry list of British shows on which that show is not there.
No, you were
But anyway,
building up.
Slow
Rajat,
Horses
build
makes
up.
the list.
Yeah.
Build up.
There's one more I actually missed it. It's a Spy Among Friends, which stars Damien Lewis and Guy Pearce. It's about it's a true story of a British politician who was basically working for the Russians during the Cold War.
Nice.
Also interesting, yeah. But yeah, solid Brit, not changing the formula too much, just keeping it short and doing it perfectly. Yeah, number 2, England.
Great call. I literally watched, I think we spoke about Vigil sometime back. Videep, I feel like I sent you this. Vigil, there's a murder. There's a new Vigil. Yeah. There's a murder that happens on a submarine and a cop has to go and investigate. That's all. But they can't stop the submarine from being...
But enough about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
So Vigil, I watched in the last 2 days and powered through. That's like you correctly said. Brits, they know how to do it. 6 hours in and out, just be done. 4 hours, 6 hours, that's it. So you can quickly power through. They tell a full story. None of the faff, none of the, oh, now I have to fill fucking 20 hours of footage. So I'm going to like give everybody a backstory. Half will be interesting, sure, but half will be boring nonsense. So, you know, that thing these Brits do very well. In and out, don't overstay your welcome. Good sense of dialogue, comedy, all of that, dry, sarcastic wit, and all of that usual stuff is there. But yeah, good pick.
In fact, someone pointed out that the entire plot of Vigil's 4 to 6 episodes was in a single episode of Jag. Have you guys watched Jag?
No. Yeah, sure. I can imagine that. Yeah.
90s, it's a 90s naval legal drama, which is...
I've heard of Jag, yeah.
The elevator pitch would have been like, you know, Few Good Men. It's basically that, but 24 episodes a year.
Yeah.
But you can't handle the truth.
Correct. But yeah,
Videep, since England made number 2 on your content list, if this were a cricket podcast, would England have made number 2 on that list?
They just barely made what? Was it 7 or 6 or something? I loved
they barely made the Champions Trophy. Yes, yeah.
I loved it when Holland was above them, and then it was like some ploy to like get into a good group at the Euros or something. Wrong sport.
Yeah, everybody was above them, but then at one stage everybody was above Australia also, who ended up winning the World Cup. But let's not talk about bad news from 2023. Let's focus on the positives as we go into 2024.
Some wounds. Let's not reopen wounds.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Sure.
Okay. So cool. So my number 2. My number 2 is a film I saw yesterday as well. In fact, everything in my top 3 is stuff that I watched in the last 24 to 36 hours. A couple of them rewatches, but this was not a rewatch. It's content that entered the list late. This is 12th Fail, the Hindi film, which is now out on OTT. I think it's out on Hotstar, I think.
Hotstar.
I think I saw it. It's on Hotstar in India. 12th Fail, directed by Vidhu Vinod Chopra, starring Vikrant Massey. First film of Vikrant Massey that I've watched. It's the film is it's a very simple, straight storyline. It's about a boy from Chambal in Bihar studying for the UPSC. A boy with very little prospects, otherwise stuck in the Badlands where there are no rules, there are no prospects, and he decides to dedicate everything he has to preparing for and cracking the UPSC exam, with a small twist, thanks to a policeman that he encounters in his life, whose only credo in life is that you need to remain honest and not be a cheat. He decides not to cheat ever in life. And that's how he goes about his entire journey of trying to make it through the UPSC. It's based on a real life story,
Oh, nice.
apparently, and it's a really good film. And I'm not a huge fan of most of the Hindi films that I tend to watch, and mostly end up disappointed with anything that I watch in Hindi. But this film was very impactful, very movingly done, a very honest, straight from the heart kind of film. Uh, I didn't know much about Vidhu Vinod Chopra outside of having watched Three Idiots and maybe 1942, A Love Story many years back. He was, of course, a director from the entire national NFTC art film movement, right? And he's been around forever. He's like 71 years old. And, yeah, you guys obviously know, probably our listeners do too. I didn't know, a lot of this was news to me. There's a very interesting interview of his with Bharadwaj Rangan on Film Companion's YouTube page. So I would recommend that for people who have watched the film to also understand a bit about where Vidhu Vinod Chopra comes from, what gets him to tick, and all of that. He does say that this film was, in a sense, autobiographical. It's about his own story of coming from Kashmir, without, the Nepo background that a lot of people who tend to do well in Bollywood have. He didn't have backers, and he, in fact, studied in Hindi medium and only learned English late in his life, unlike his famous wife, who's known for, film reviews and for a literary work and all of that. It's about, yeah, so he identified a lot with the story, and he wanted to sort of put it out there almost, and he also he's not very prolific as a director. I believe he does a film every 3 or 4 years. It's been a while
Even lesser,
since his
even
last
lesser.
one. Even lesser, yeah.
Just to clarify, Three Idiots was his production, not his direction. So.
Sorry, it was Rajkumar Hirani's directorial. Yeah. So he does say, for instance, that I could have made Munna by 3, 4, 5, whatever, if I wanted to continue to milk franchises that exist already. But he believes that, and there's a line that comes in Three Idiots as well: don't chase what? Chase excellence, don't chase results.
Yes.
Right. So you try and be the best of what you can do. Just a very good film, a lot of good work. Vikram Massey is brilliant. Highly recommended for people who have not yet watched it. It's on OTT. And this also goes back to, what we spoke about earlier about Leo and about Barbenheimer and about the entire marketing machinery that's put behind films, right, to make them succeed. I believe we live in a world now where there's so much of content that a film like 12th Fail, for instance, despite being headlined by a fairly experienced senior director, was a film that I didn't even know about until. In fact, the way I discovered this film was my in-laws were visiting us last month. And when they were here, they wanted to watch a Hindi film. And Shruti, my wife, did some research and said, hey, there's this film called 12th Fail. They can probably go and watch it. I'm like, yeah, sure, they can. And then by booking tickets for them is when I realized what this film was, and it seemed interesting. And then I read a couple of reviews and like, wait a sec, there are these films that come out which we don't even hear about anymore. And it just makes no sense, right? You have great content that doesn't get any eyeballs because a few tentpole marketing-driven content pieces end up getting all the attention, right? And it's the same with Bollywood as well, right? In the last month you had Animal, you had Dunki, and you had something else, right? I don't know. I don't even know. Every week there is, A versus B that's happening now in the box
But these are
office.
still, you're talking about theatrical release. Even 12th Fail is theatrical release. Like the streaming movies
12th Fail was
no,
exact. No. So now you have the flip side, right? There are these films that go straight to OTT, which also get their own. There's people realize that OTT is a great market. So and there's significant amount of money that movies make through the OTT channel. So there's marketing done for like Archie's, whatever the Archie's film is an example, right? Which really was an OTT release more than a theatrical release. But again, it has the marketing machinery. But films like this, I think I'm thankful I ended up discovering it and watching it in time for this episode. But I probably would have never heard of it if my in-laws had not visited me. So it's a bit scary.
I've been hearing about 12th Fail, and Vidhu, I mean, he made this movie called Parinda, which I think I have briefly spoken about. It's hands down one of the best crime movies like ever made. Right. So, and that he made way early on in 1988, 89, something like that. Jackie, Anil, and Madhuri, all the top stars of that time in this like down and dirty crime movie, which was made in like a superbly low budget and whatever else. But yeah, after that, he
Spoiler,
managed.
spoiler alert for Parinda. So he mentions in that interview with Bharadwaj Angan how, he was almost arm twisted into changing the ending of the film.
Huh.
I think he gets the lovers killed in the end,
Yes,
but
yes.
people
Want to
advise
get,
him not to do that and to get the bad guy to die or whatever. I don't even remember who's who. I think he kills Anil Kapoor and Madhuri Dixit while Jackie Shroff
yeah.
lives or something like that. But people wanted it to be the other way. And
Yeah.
that's again an example of Vidu's artistic integrity is that
Yeah.
he refused to fold.
He's an
And,
idiosyncratic, singular fellow. Thankfully, he got enough success with the Munabai and the with his Rajkumar Hirani partnership. He found Hirani
Yeah.
and put him up, and that's given him a lot
Not
of
partners anymore, for the record.
yeah. But he managed to make enough success out of that. Cool. So that was 12th Fail, your number 2. My number 1 show.
Let me guess your number 1. Huh?
I'm going to do something. You'll
Oh,
have a
okay.
guess. Go. My number 1 show is about a young man affectionately called Bear, aided by his friends and cousins as they deal with the tragic loss of an elder brother figure. But enough about the bear. I'm talking about Reservation Dogs.
Hey,
Reservation
you
Dogs.
can't repeat same. Was it Reservation Dogs your number 1 last year, or was it number 2?
It was number 2, but I don't think I did Bear. Did I do the same thing?
No, you didn't do the same thing. I'm saying Reservation Dogs was in your top content last year also.
That's how top it is, Macha. It's like so top that it comes here.
It has a reservation in your top list. Yeah.
Correct. But it
That it
is
does.
it has ended. So
Quota
coming
reservation quota.
So even if they are 12th fail, they'll get some quota system.
Ooh.
Oh no, that maybe should be cut out. Cut that out.
Postla paathukalam.
Post. But yeah, Reservation Dogs, I've been harping about it. I've like written about it multiple times. I've been pushing it in my articles also. Reservation Dogs is ended this year. But the first 2 seasons was really about these kids trying to leave home. There are a bunch of teenage kids on a reservation, Native American kids on a reservation in Oklahoma. Their friend commits suicide at the beginning, like before the beginning of the show. One of their friends, and that kid's dream was to leave Oklahoma and go to California. So the entire premise of the show is how do we up and leave and go to California? So they're trying to steal, beg, borrow, steal, make some money so they can leave and start a life in California, these 4 friends. So the end of season 2, they actually end up making it to California. So when season 3 started, and it was a beautiful ending in season 2, they kind of say goodbye to that friend and all of that. But season 3, I was wondering where would the show go now? If you've done what you said you will do, what more is left to do, right? It was a mission show in the sense of we need to get California, and now that they did that, I didn't really know where they were going. But season 3 does a very interesting thing where Sterling Harjo, the creator, also Native American, he starts going into the backstory of a lot of the community that's around there in that reservation. People that we've seen as elders, they call them elders also, seeing the young versions of them, how they are not so different. Like it goes back to the 70s, shows some flashbacks of how they are also not so different from the kids we are seeing today, how some of them struggled, how some of them stayed back, how some of them moved out. And eventually the season becomes again a part of the entire whole where sure, you want to leave home, but leaving home is not just leaving a place, it's leaving a community, it's leaving a set of people. And leaving is not necessarily the answer for everybody. So even among these 4 kids, one of them leaves, 2 of them stay, another one is still growing up, he's younger. But it's about this entire, you might be able to physically leave your home, but you can never leave the people you call family or the people you call your community. And this show becomes about that. And it's just a very, very nicely done season. Lots of heartwarming episodes. Ethan Hawke turns up in one episode. Bunch of other guest stars keep popping in and out. Easy to watch, light, but stays with you for a long, long time. Very funny, very heartfelt. And I spoke about it last time as well, so I won't spend too much time now. But I know Videep has watched the show as well, so maybe I can let him speak a little bit. Unless it was going to be your number one as well. Good.
No, it's not.
Okay.
My number one is a month. I'll explain. But no, same feelings as you. I think the direction it took this season was a little unexpected. And I had the same feelings as you. How are they going to connect that back to the res and all of that? But the whole journey aspect of it, I think it had some really well done flashback episodes, which would have generally been very easy to like mess up. It had a lot of exposition for characters that we've heard of, but we had not seen. It has basically the entire roster of great Native American actors. Yeah. So yeah, great show. Probably the best show I watched this year as well. Yeah, it didn't make my top one because I was sure it was going to be yours.
Yes. Yes, good. But also, everybody's talking about Lily Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, possibly getting Best Actress. Definitely a nomination, possibly even winning it if she can beat Carey Mulligan, who's my number one pick for Maestro. But yeah, Lily Gladstone, two things about Killers of the Flower Moon. I know we didn't do a longer episode, and I don't even want to. It's fine as a movie. But really, if you want to see versions of that story, you're better off just quietly watching Reservation Dogs. It's a much better encapsulation of what it is to be a Native American in America today and in the past. So the show also talks about the past, and you can see the effects and impact of things that have happened earlier showing up in the youngsters that live trauma, passing through and all of that, and how they deal with it. But yeah, Lily Gladstone also in Reservation Dogs in a couple of episodes. So if you want to see her in a better version of Native American life in the US, I think Reservation Dogs is the way to go, not all due respect to Marty. Killers of the Flower Moon, fine, good, all of that, but not really my cup of tea.
If you want to watch a better murder mystery based show set in a similar universe, then watch Dark Winds. Shout out to Dark Winds.
Dark Winds also same Zach McClanahan. That's also set in Reservation and all of that. But yeah, very funny, very nice, light kids, good fun.
No, thanks to you guys, my 2024 list is already full. There is, I can spend the entire year just catching up on all the shows that you guys have been recommending for the last 15 minutes.
And to add on, William Spirit Knifeman, who I am in this episode, is the spirit that keeps coming back. And they do fun, like there's this idea of Native Americans will have spirits visiting them or whatever. And in the first episode of the first season, this guy comes, but he's this cartoonish figure of a spirit. He's a failed guy who was supposed to ride out into war, but his horse tripped and he fell and he banged his head and he died. Like, it's not a heroic this thing. And he keeps giving he's the very antithesis of stoic warrior. He tries to play like stoic warrior, but he's like this comedy figure who gives very basic learnings, but is still helping our hero move through his journey. So he keeps appearing now and then and giving advice as a spirit. So that's Mr. Knifeman, to connect the dot all the way back. That was my number one piece of content that I watched. That will stay with me.
I guess I have to watch it this year. Yeah, I will.
Okay, but number two.
Fascinated by this Mammootty movie, man. That was an incredible sales pitch. I know it's a bit late to pass a comment on it, but man, still staying with me.
Sure. Yeah. Please do watch. Yeah. You will enjoy it.
Okay, your number two, Videep.
Number one.
Sorry. Number one. We are on number ones.
My number one is October 2023 for the reason that I watched 3 William Friedkin movies and all of them were absolutely awesome.
Very nice.
One of them being new.
When you said it is a month, I was wondering what could this be? I thought May, December probably, but that's 2 months. But anyway, October 2023. Go on, Machan.
Yeah, I watched Sorcerer. I watched To Live and Die in LA, and I watched Kane Mutiny Court Martial. I think I got the name right. Is that the full name? There's a case somewhere in the middle.
Kane Mutiny Court Martial. And
I watched them in that order, and I feel like anybody who wants to revisit his content should probably watch it in that order and then finish with Exorcist. But Sorcerer has been on my list for a really long time, and the motivation to watch it is obviously because he passed, and then I learned that there was a movie of his coming out. But Sorcerer is the absolute antithesis of what Fast and Furious stands for. It's slow and relentless. It's about people basically driving nitroglycerin across an equatorial rainforest at 10 kilometers or slower. So it
so it
doesn't.
doesn't explode.
Yeah, so it doesn't
Yes.
explode. Yeah, and powering through this movie is I mean, what helps this movie power through at such a relentlessly slow pace is a Tangerine Dream soundtrack to die for. Uh, Not sure if it's one of their first movies, but it basically encapsulates the era and would set the tone for the 1980s. So any TD fans out there, well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Then I did watch To Live and Die in LA on Nareen's recommendation, after which I watched it all over again with director's commentary and then the behind the scenes and stuff like that. I think and it was Nareen who pointed out to me that he's one of the great interviews, and he definitely doesn't disappoint. Absolutely worth just listening to him talk cinema and talk about how he frames his scenes and how he goes about the process. It's incredible. The movie is great. Again, Gil Grissom from CSI is the star of the movie, and a star that would not grow beyond the promise that he showed in the 80s, it would seem, other than 10 seasons of CSI, which I guess you could regard success as well. But yeah, it's again, it's got William Dafoe is the bad guy. A lot of 80s tropes, a lot of 80s stuff, but in this gritty sort of world where nobody seems to care about anything. Everybody just does their thing, and yeah, it's really cool. Highly recommend. And of course, his last movie, Kane Mutiny. Again, relentless, but in a different kind of way. Relentless because it's just people sitting in a room talking. That's pretty much it. It's just people saying, like, talking facts. Like, hey, one second, sorry guys, I'll take that again. But yeah, courtroom drama done William Friedkin style. Just people talking, people getting cross-examined, people bringing up evidence, people proving other people wrong. I don't know, man. Sorry, I don't got this.
Okay,
No,
that's right.
Anything you can use from that?
Yeah,
No,
that's right.
it's perfect. No, what I really
Uh,
like is, so I've not heard of any of these films, but yeah, they go back into my list now. Now my 2025 list is also full. Before this episode, we said we'll pick 3 things each. So I like how Videep across his 3 picks. So 3 Leo movies. So there was Leonardo DiCaprio, there was Leo, and there was Leo the animated film. Then he picked England, and I don't even know how many shows he recommended,
Yeah.
including Slow Horses, which is the only one I recognize. What, four or 5 shows, Mata? And now he's come up with 3 movies of William Friedkin. By the way, William Friedkin, rest in peace. But also in the Kane Mutiny, also starred Lance Reddick. Also rest in peace.
Yes, rest
So,
in peace.
yeah, so that's 3
His
more.
last film.
And the funny thing is, 5 minutes before we hit record, Videep was like, Macha, my list is not ready. I don't have list. What do I do? This is a typical backbencher behavior. And then comes to the exam and he has like 25 things in his top 3. So well done. Well done, boss.
I'll tell you the difference. The difference is I structured it in a way where I would probably have to say one sentence about 12 different things. Then after hearing you guys talk, I'm like trying to do what you guys do, and I just can't do it.
Ayo. No, what we normally do is both of us watch the same thing and come. So we have a conversation.
Yeah.
Today we are in this interesting juncture where we are like, okay, it is this,
Cross
it is
purposes.
that. Now I don't know what else to say. But yeah.
No, but you were worried about me having a big list. This fellow has cheated at all.
Say hello to
times.
my big list.
I think the fuck up is actually me setting the standard, like the baseline. So you know that I can't talk over 2 or 3 sentences about something with a lot of analysis and stuff like that. So yeah.
No, you're killing it. Please.
But we were talking about Few Good Men today. So Kane Mutiny court martial, the Few Good Men of today, which is not exactly the perfect analogy, but yeah, courtroom drama with all of its back and forth. With the fact that you don't even know actually what's happening outside. There's no real evidence, or I know you said fact, but there's no real fact either. We're just listening to people display their version of truth, and we have to put all that together and come up with something. But a little bit I want to talk about Friedkin. Friedkin, of course, passed away in October. Even I literally, we both did the same list of movies. I did To Live and Die in LA first, and then I did Sorcerer much later. But Sorcerer, like you said, it's been sitting on my most listened soundtracks in the last 2 months. I've been literally yesterday also I was listening to it. Nowadays, when I'm writing or doing anything else, background will be Sorcerer. If I'm doing like thinking work, Sorcerer is in the background. If I'm doing other work, then one of many podcasts will be running at 1.8 or 1.9x. But yeah, he's got this sense of, I won't even say nihilism, right? There's some kind of very sad and desolate, and like people will just be selfish people who will all end up dead. He's got this very like dark view of humanity.
That even if someone wins, everybody loses. It's
Yeah.
there are no real winners at the end.
Yeah, even Sorcerer, when they finally that one track makes it with spoilers for the Sorcerer with the nitroglycerin to turn off this huge oil fire that's blazing, which also using explosives to close up another oil fire has its own like fighting fire with fire literally. But it ends with just that fire burning, right? It just like ends in this sad way of, well, people are still like.
It actually ends way worse than you remember it. Because one, yes, there's this fire burning. Two is this guy's in the bar and he's having a dance with this lady. And the people who are looking for him show up there. So the basic shtick is he's escaped New York. He's this getaway driver and he's responsible for the deaths of a bunch of mobsters. So he goes to this equatorial country and he does the driving gig there. But yeah, and they somehow, despite succeeding in the mission and all of that stuff happening,
gets killed.
Find him at the end. That's what happens.
They find him at the end. I think you hear a gunshot. Like they show the door of that bar closing and you hear a gunshot or something. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I like how the theme that we stumbled upon in our last episode continues here, where the panelists together are trying to approach the truth because nobody really remembers anything. But good. Glad to see. It's a good team.
No, but yeah, very worthwhile movies. And if nothing else, people please watch like random interviews of Willem Friedkin just talking about stuff, because he would shoot his mouth off. He didn't care about what anybody said. He didn't care about being nice to his stars or whatever.
But enough about Mansoor Ali Khan Patodi.
But yeah, great pick.
How many people did he mankad?
Correct.
Okay.
And
the
final
fourth bouncer up over Dodi. Today we unleashed 4 bouncers. This one was so high, he didn't even have to duck. It just went. That's all. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
No, Macha. Spirit of the game. I don't believe in Mankada. How is this? I can also respond, Macha. I can also respond in cricketers.
Super. Yeah. All right. My number one, I think Dodi might probably be able to guess this because I've only been recommending this movie to him multiple times in the last few days. It is Jigar Tanda XX, which is a Tamil film that came out a couple of months back. Karthik Subbaraj directorial, starring S.J. Surya and Raghava Lawrence. It's the best Tamil film I watched in the last 5 or 6 years. I think I mentioned this in the last episode that we did. I see a lot of Tamil films. Probably not all of them. I don't end up watching all the Vijay films or all the Ajit films, which typically are the ones that garner all the eyeballs. But yeah, I continue to watch Tamil films, and it is a bit of a. I do have a sweet spot for them. I have a weakness for Tamil cinema. This film and the work of Karthik Subbaraj over the years has been. By the way, have you guys watched the film yet? Dodi, you said you will. Dodi.
We are going to do an episode. I will watch it. This and Unpakal both I'll watch. We'll do a joint episode.
Okay. I watched it as it was being watched in the other room. Does it count?
What is this much? I'm watching The Watcher. Like,
I went out to get coffee or something. Someone's watching it.
Okay, cool.
It's on my list.
Which is meta, because we'll come into why it is meta. So anyway, Jigar Tanda, the first part was the first film really where Karthik Subbaraj sort of exploded into our conscious. I think it came in 2013 or 14. It's a meta film about filmmaking itself. It's a story of an aspiring film director who ends up going and spending time with a real life gangster to try and make a movie starring that gangster. He wants to be an actor. but he doesn't have any acting chops, etc. And then there is this whole tussle between the director and the actor on where they want to take the film. In the end, the neat subversion in that film is that he ends up shooting a comedy film, while the gangster himself thinks he's starring in a in an action flick where he's playing like the lead gangster, the scary sort of menacing, smoldering hero gangster, anti-hero gangster role, right? So that was Jigar Tanda, which starts off a bit like an action thriller, uh, goes into sort of satire, comedy, and becomes kind of existentialist. So the through line of that film is how the director, by the end of the film, ends up actually becoming a gangster. It's a comment on what it takes to be a successful person in the movies. You need to be politically connected. You need to have power and muscle in order to release your films and make them successful. And at the same time, the gangster who came into the film with zero acting chops ends up becoming a fairly accomplished actor by the end of the film. Someone who enjoys himself as an actor, and not necessarily the sort of uber action hero that he thought he wanted to be. He ends up seeing success as a comedy hero, so to speak, and ends up doing a lot of movies after that. A very successful film, and it's still a film that holds up. You go back and watch Jigar Tanda now, you would enjoy it. But it has its stinks, right? There are certain parts of the movie that don't work, and so on and so forth. So Jigar Tanda XX came out this year. So just like we spoke about Lokesh Kanakraj and his journey through his directorial career, where you burst onto the scene doing one or two small films, then you get the opportunity to do big films with big stars. So Karthik Subbaraj has had a very similar graph. I think every top director in Tamil cinema goes through this this journey, so to speak. So he had the opportunity to do a Rajnikant film, which was Peta. He then did a film with Dhanush. So Peta was quite successful. It was sort of a tribute to Rajnikant kind of thing. It was more a Rajni film than a Karthik Subbaraj film, and hence probably not cinematically as satisfying as some of his other work, but it definitely was a big hit. And then there was a film with.
This is the less successful version of Loki having to do star service for other stars.
Sort of.
Pete was less successful than those in terms of being able to make things work.
It was, but given the time at which it came, which was after Rajnikant had a series of movies that didn't do well, and then he had this reinvention with Ranjit, Kabali and Kala, which again, Kala I thought was a fantastic film, but both Kabali and Kala weren't really super hits in that sense, because they portray Rajnikant as an old man and people were not ready to accept it and all of that. So Karthik Subbaraj made a Rajnikant film where he showed Rajnikant as a young strapping person, and there were enough Rajni ingredients in it. So while it was not a blockbuster the way Jailer was this year, it was a film that sort of I would say it was a film that sort of rebooted Rajnikant as the star actor. And again, there were a series of colossal misfires after that, and then there was Jailer, which also I would say was a misfire, but it at least did well. Yeah, Darbar and Annatha being the other one. But so Karthik Subbaraj went through the journey, and he's also spoken about the exact same pressures, right? Of once you sign Rajni, you have there's a time bomb that's tied to your back, and you have limited time, and you need to make it all work. And now we went through that, and then he did a film with Dhanush, which came out during the pandemic. And because it was a pandemic release, and Tamil cinema has always been a theater-driven industry in a way that probably Bollywood or Hollywood probably didn't have the same pressures that Tamil cinema did. So releasing a big star film during the pandemic was a challenge, and there were very few big star films that released directly to OTT. I think Master by Lokesh was another one. Apparently, Dhanush's film with Karthik Subbaraj, Jagame Tandiram is the name, also suffered because of the direct OTT release. Apparently, Netflix had a big say in what had to be in the film, what had to be cut out, etc. Broadly to say that he's had his share of fires and misfires with leading actors. And then he comes back and does a film like Jigar Tanda XX, which doesn't have big stars per se, right? So Raghava Lawrence has been on the sidelines for a while, doing some strange stuff. He does action, horror comedy movies, and he's known as a choreographer, dancer. He does some random stuff. I think he's done a lot of very weird films which have not done well. And one of the reasons why Jigar Tanda XX did not get the sort of opening or the sort of theater run that it probably deserved was because of the reputation that Raghava Lawrence as an actor carries, which is strange in itself, right? So the actor's name actually in a sense, sort of affected the film. And it had S.J. Surya, who is extremely watchable, one of the more interesting people in Tamil cinema right now to watch. Anyway, enough. Yeah, what do you say? Like enough prelude. The movie itself is, in many ways, it's a spiritual successor to Jigartanda, the first part. It again is a meta movie on movie making. It's so it sets itself up in the mid 70s. So in a sense, it's a prequel, or a very loose prequel to Jigartanda, the first part. It traces the story of Raghava Lawrence, who plays a character called Alias Caesar, the name given to him on the set of a Clint Eastwood film that was shot in Tamil Nadu, where he happened to be on the set. And it so happens that he ends up saving Clint Eastwood's life. So there is actually Clint Eastwood in this film, and he's about to get charged by a raging bull, and this boy comes and sort of tames the bull. And in return, Clint Eastwood gives him an 8mm camera and names him Alias Caesar. Except this young boy thinks that the gift that Clint Eastwood has given him is actually a gun, a toy gun, and not a camera. It gets discovered as an 8mm camera many years later, when the accidental director, who is played by S.J. Surya, shows up in his life again to shoot a movie on a gangster. The reason why he does this, etc., is there in the plot, and you guys should watch the film if you haven't. And he ends up shooting the movie, the gangster's life story, using that 8mm camera. Wherein the first part sort of takes so both these films have like very, very dramatic jumps between the first half and the second half, where the entire genre of the material changes, right? So there's a setup. I mean, it is a cat and mouse thing between the director and this gangster. They're trying to make a movie together, two different personalities trying to do something. Both of them are looking to get different things out of this enterprise, and then they find a way to work together. The second half in that one sort of goes into existential comedy. This one goes into extremely deep philosophical questions about life, about kindness, about exploitation, about politics. You spoke about, when we were talking about Reservation Dogs, you were talking about, what it means to be, a Native American, and how that life is sort of depicted well, right, in Reservation Dogs. This film talks about people living in the mountains, where there are elephants. There's a whole lot of resources out there which the politicians are trying to garner, and they have like a pond that they've placed in the mountain to sort of kill the elephants, to terrorize the tribals who are living there, and later parcel the mountain and sell it away to businessmen. Again, and it also has a sideline about nature and about elephants, about compassion from animals to human beings to animals. The movie probably chews off a lot more. I mean, it bites off a lot more than it can chew, right? And if there's one weakness to Jigartanda XX, as you might have realized in this very incoherent last 5 minutes where I've been talking, is that it tries to do a lot of things, but I don't know. It all in spite of I would say, in spite of a significant amount of flab, which probably could have been done away with, and a massive swing for the fences, which could have been a little more organized and a little more thought through, the film in its entirety absolutely worked for me. And it's a film with its heart in its right place. And we spoke about Anirudh earlier. I think Santosh Narayan's work in this film, with the background score, it's extremely loud, in your face, blaring. It just works so well, right? It may not always be uh, music that blends in well with what you're seeing on the screen, but it is so impactful, and it just gives you the goosebumps again and again and again. I would say the best soundtrack to come out of Tamil cinema this year as well. So yeah, please do watch Jigartanda XX. I'm shocked, Dodi, that you haven't watched it.
I will watch it. We will do. Last time when you gave, by the way, one of the honorable mentions on my list is Talumala also. So I did watch it, and I'm a fan.
You've now watched it more times than I have, and you're like telling me things from that film which I don't remember. Yeah.
So don't worry, I will watch it. So that was your number one.
Last week's pod was supposed to be a Jigartanda pod.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 people have not watched it.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we'll
I was sure you guys would have watched at least Jigartanda. I thought we can have a conversation but yeah. So it goes. But Videep, since you watched this through the eyes of others, like you said, while going from unknown to other, which is an interesting, neat subversion of the subject matter, because this film literally and metaphorically pits guns against cameras. So the poster of this film is Raghava Lawrence pointing a gun at S.J. Surya, who's pointing back an 8mm camera at Lawrence. And that, by the way, is the interval block of the film. It's extremely impactful, Dodi. So, Videep, what were your thoughts on this film?
It was visually quite striking because I've actually watched people watching it on different devices. I have a lot of visitors given that it's the holiday season and whatnot. So I've actually watched people just having expressions while I couldn't hear the audio, and it was surprise, shock, happiness, all sorts of things. Everything that you said like completely checks out, tracks.
Yeah, when you're done with all the British shows that you're watching, maybe just it's only 3 hours long, Macha. It's not that long, right? It's shorter than a British one season, 4 hours and done kind of thing, and it packs in a lot.
I have watched the first movie, so yeah, I will watch this. Yeah.
First, did we watch together? By the way, this was when I was in Satyam, so I
possibly.
I know that. I think you, me, and Hunts together watched it, if I'm not wrong.
No,
I know
that was Sudhakavam. It wasn't Jigatanda.
Oh, but Jigatanda also was around that time, no?
Yeah, around that time. Yeah, both films were spoken of in the same breath quite a bit.
Okay, so that was our top 3 for the year. Honorable mentions, anyone? I think we can speed through a few honorable mentions. Anybody?
Go for it, Macha.
I'll go for
every 5 that you give, I might give half.
Okay. And I think I'll repeat some things that others will also want to talk about. First of all, saying bye to a number of shows. We said bye to Ted Lasso, which had a very not interesting final season after the great first season and good second season. Said goodbye to...
No way Ted Lasso was 2023. Was it 2023?
Yeah, third season was 2023. Was it not? Did I get right? No, it was.
Forgotten about it.
Yeah, basically he wrote it off long back, is what Videep is trying to say.
Correct. Succession, saying goodbye to Succession. Surprised it didn't turn up on our list, but great show. I know we've all enjoyed it in various ways. Said goodbye to that. I ended up saying goodbye to Happy Valley as well. It's this, again, speaking of British crime shows. In India, it's available for rental on Book My Show. It's not on any of the streamers. But again, over the last 10 years, they've done 3 seasons, 1 case, 1 cop, and 1 case per season. They've done 3 seasons. Very gritty crime drama with some family elements thrown in. What else did we not?
Have the best episode of TV this year? You think the
episode where Logan Roy dies? Yeah.
So spoilers. Is that? I was going to say the best episode of. Yeah.
Fishes, man. Fishes.
Folks.
The episode after that.
Hey, fuck your folks. Fishes.
Folks. Well, Videep will adjudicate. Fishes or folks. I was going to come to that.
So for the benefit of dear readers, so we are talking, of course, about The Bear. Episode 6 of the most recent season of The Bear is Fishes, which also stars, by the way, amongst many other people, Bob Odenkirk. It's an ensemble cast of many people, and I would describe that episode as a 1 hour long heart attack, which is different from how I would describe the mid-season episode that came in the previous season, the first season of The Bear, which was only 22 minutes long or 23 minutes long. And I remember at the end of that episode, I thought the title sort of come, and I think, oh wow, they really took a while to come up with the opening sort of title frame. I thought the episode was going to start after that. I was like, oh shit, it's done, and it's been 22 minutes, and I didn't even realize. This time it's nearly an hour long, and it is Jamie Lee Curtis, of course.
Yeah. It's a great episode, but it's no Folks. Right?
So Folks is the episode that follows. Yeah. So say more about Folks, Dodi.
No, let Videep say something. We both have fought about this enough times.
I'm just going to say, even within Bear, it's the Jamie Lee Curtis episode is the second best episode.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis second best episode, you're saying?
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis episode is second. Like the Richie episode is obviously the best episode.
Yeah. See, he's also...
so Folks leads to...
Folks
okay.
Yeah. Step also put Folks on top. But either way, Bear, great show. I know we've all enjoyed it. What else? Has anybody watched Our Flag Means Death? I powered through it a couple of months ago. Good fun, Taika Waititi, pirate show, comedy.
The new season, but I did watch the old season. I haven't seen the new one.
New season's also good. Beef on Netflix was good.
Yeah. Beef makes my
Another
list for
tension to
sure. Yeah.
it, right?
So while we're talking
Um,
about beef, right, which is really the beef between two people over a parking incident, there is a new
yeah.
Tamil film called Parking, which came out, I
Oh,
think, a month back. And I think it's out on OTT now or is almost out on OTT. Haven't watched it yet, starring MS Bhaskar and somebody else. But it's getting a lot of good reviews, and quite a few people have said this is the
okay.
beef in Tamil. So,
Nice.
which
Nice.
makes it intriguing. Yeah.
More honorable mentions, stuff that we didn't talk about.
I've got Poker Face as an honorable mention on my list.
Very nice.
Oh, yeah.
So did I. Did you watch it, Nitin?
Yeah, loved it.
Poker Face,
But
lot of
I
fun.
thought, yeah, I thought it got a bit repetitive beyond the point, but it was still fun in its own way because it was
Yeah.
still all very
I
stylistic.
feel
And
like
you also, it sort of became like comfort food beyond the point. Like
yeah.
you didn't mind the fact that it was getting repetitive.
No,
Which
I also
is,
enjoyed the fact that they started to play with the repetition. There were points where they did the opposite
yeah,
of what they would do, like
yeah.
those the two ladies in that old age home.
Yeah, that was the
Usually
best episode, I thought.
that
Yeah,
reverses, right? They become the bad people,
yeah,
even though she's identifying with them. And then even the last episode breaks the format in some way, like it goes the one where she's buried and all of that. But yeah,
yeah.
good fun. Looking forward to season 2. Poker Face was very enjoyable. One of the few shows that I also rewatched a bunch of episodes of. What else? What else? What else? I wanted to.
We didn't talk about the bear.
Right.
Sorry,
We spoke about
we didn't talk about we didn't talk about Barry,
Barry.
which has
Yes.
ended after
Yeah,
a
Barry, I
fairly
didn't finish.
disappointing
Yeah,
final
I didn't even
season.
finish
You didn't
season 3.
finish.
I didn't
What a
finish
guy.
season 3 only. Yeah. I got like
Okay,
after 2, 3 episodes, I was
bit
like,
upset.
yeah. But
Yeah,
no,
it
still,
was
it was a great when it was
not
there.
a great season. Not a great season. The final episode is quite interesting, and maybe just to watch the final episode, you might want to watch it because it has parallels to another show. It has a final. It has parallels to the finale of Breaking Bad,
Oh, okay.
which I felt when I saw it. But
I do want to
no
finish
great
it.
shakes.
I do want to finish it for completion's sake, but I did lose interest after a while.
I feel the thing about Barry is anytime a new season of Barry drops, I need to remind everyone to watch it. Like nobody knows when it's coming out. Nobody really cares. Nobody's really anticipating it. It's just like once you get into it, it's amazing. Like you can, because all short episodes, you can even like watch them together in a bunch and get the full
Yeah.
feels. But people didn't really care about it enough to watch it. They like the characters, they liked everything, but they didn't care enough about the show. Is what I think.
Yeah, I didn't stick and hold on. It like came and went, came and went.
Yeah.
What else? In terms of movies, there were a bunch of these movies that I would like to recommend. All were female comedies written by women, directed by women. There was Polite Society, which is um, Nida, I forget her last name, British, two sisters. One of them wants to become a stunt woman, and they're Pakistani British, I think, if I'm not wrong. But one of them wants to be a stunt woman, and she's learning how to do all these matrix kicks and all of that. So there's that kind of action, but there's also like other story going on in that. Polite Society, it's on Geo in India. There's Joyride, which is on Lionsgate Play. Joyride is this, what's her name? Everything Everywhere All at Once, the daughter. She, with 3 other friends, they all go to find one adopted bunch of Asian American women. They all go back to Asia to find the birth parent of one of the adopted kids among them. Again, the usual gross out comedy, fun of K-pop, all of that. Very enjoyable, fun movie. There was Bottoms, which is um, our Bear IO, Sydney from Bear, as well as Rachel Sennott. This was directed by the lady who made what was that movie called? The first Rachel Sennott movie. But anyway, again, another comedy. 2 girls in high school, the loser girls, they start a fight club, but a fight club for women, so that they can meet the cheerleaders and become friends with them and start dating them. Like it's subversion and
Okay.
subversion, all that. Set in earlier times, I think set in the mid-90s or something. But a lot of fun of male stereotypes. The jocks, all the jocks are like real losers and, babies and whatever else. There was Quiz Lady, which is on Disney Plus Hotstar. It's what's her name? Sandra Oh
Vadivel Karasi.
and
Oh.
Sandra Oh
Sorry.
and what's her Aquafina, sisters. One of them is good at quizzing, and then they need to make some money, so they want to go on this quiz show and make that money. There's a loser sister and there's a wacky sister. You would think the nerdy loser sister is Sandra Oh and the wacky sister is Aquafina, but they swap it. So Aquafina is like the timid and whatever, and Sandra Oh is the loud, crazy person. So a bunch of those movies. But Spider-Verse was great. I don't know if anybody watched Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse was amazing. Hoping that it turns up in the Best Picture. It was one of my really fun watches of the summer. Maestro. People
Was
should
Maestro
watch.
good?
Maestro is good.
I
Maestro is
watching
very
it.
good. Maestro is very,
I
very
didn't
good.
end up watching any of the Prestige movies. I didn't watch Leo of the Flower Moon. I did not watch. Only
Correct.
Leo of Vijay sir I watched.
Maestro is very good.
Also.
Maestro is very. He's a great director. Like his acting is also good, but his acting is in this one starts to feel a bit more like an imitation rather than a fully lived in character. It's still a great job with the makeup and everything else. But Carey Mulligan is great, and his direction is out of this world. And his way of telling the biopic and what he does with the movie, it's less about. It is all Leonard Bernstein, but it's really about the wife and their relationship and their love story, unconventional love story that they have.
But the acting is very on the nose, is what you would want to say.
Correct. That guy's going to win, Machab. What's his name? Hari Kozu or whatever. The makeup guy is clearly going to win. You forget about the nose in like first 10 seconds, to be honest. For all that controversy, you forget about the nose in the first 15, 20 seconds of him being around. What else? Star Trek, I'm saying Starstruck. If anybody's watched Starstruck on Lionsgate Play or Amazon Prime, this is...
hey, how much is Lionsgate Play paying you? Like some 74 plugs he has put to this guy. He's only picking things from Lionsgate Play. People who are listening to this are like, what is this app? Yaar in the
Come on, people need to, because
Sun TV Varma. What is this?
Because past lives are not
more Lionsgate Play than Naren does, because he just watches bad movies from the 80s and 70s.
Hey, all John Wick is only on Lionsgate Play. Come on. All of John Wick is only on Lionsgate.
How is John Wick not on your recommendation list yet? Despite it being on Lionsgate, just to bug Mithun, no?
Correct.
That is what you're doing.
Yeah,
John Wick 4 is on my honorable mentions, Macha. It was almost on my final list also. Of all the films I saw this year, like what?
The scene almost made my top 3.
Which one?
Sorry, which one?
The staircase scene from John Wick 4 almost.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You could do an entire podcast, not one episode. You could do a series of episodes on just the staircase fight. Right? Like, what the hell? No, like so many movies that you went and saw this year. I went and saw with a lot of expectation. I think I saw Avatar was also this year.
Last year.
There was obviously Barbenheimer. I don't know when I saw it. Barbenheimer, Mission Impossible. All Daddy films. Like John Wick 4 was the one film that really lived up to expectation. Yes.
Well done. Taylor Swift, Eras Tour. It was the year of Taylor. Well done for her and for concert films. And lastly, I will say I am personally very happy
Taylor
for
Swift,
them.
everybody knows what a master is.
Correct. Music master. She has given the layperson understanding of what a music master is. And lastly, I want to talk about very, very quickly. I know we spoke about this in our Jawan one. I'm just very happy that SRK Shah Rukh Khan is having a resurgence. Audiences are loving him again. I don't know.
Looks like it is done, Macha. Donkey is done. That's all.
Donkey has crashed. Yeah, I was kind of.
A direct cut that released like a couple of days back.
This one, Donkey, huh?
There's a director's cut of Jawan.
Oh, director's cut. Oh, that's Jawan. On Netflix. They put that with some extra footage and all that. Some couple of scenes are extra.
Long back, yeah. Some 30 seconds or something is there. There is like full.
It came on Netflix only. It was there.
Yeah.
But yeah. The year of Shah Rukh is, I think, took a donkey with Donkey. Another friend and I were discussing that Hirani will drown our boy as we were speaking. But that was
nobody saw it coming, no? Like Hirani content has generally been doing well.
Generally did well,
nobody
but
expected this.
It's also everybody's now realized that the biggest money comes from the big ass action masala extravaganzas and all that. That number has hit a 500 crore number, which these ones are slow to hit.
I know. This nobody expected this to compete with Jawan, but this film had like bad word of mouth from like the first hour. I haven't heard a single person say anything good about this film. So
Yeah.
Forget the box
It's
office
tough.
numbers. It looks like the content is a flop.
Yeah.
So
No, Hirani's also had a problem of, he's had this problem where I don't know if he's catering to bigger stars or he's trying to make bigger films and he's losing what made his charm work. If you go back to Munnabai 1 and Munnabai 2, they are outstanding movies and they're perfectly
yeah,
written screenplays. Things move clockwork. Everything that's set up is paid off. There's the right amount of, it's completely formulaic, but it makes the formula work. Like there's an item song in Munnabai 1 at the time when any movie would have an item song. And it should be egregious, but it's not because
yeah,
tell it within the story
it's
when that Jimmy Shagil is dying and he wants to meet somebody. And so, he makes the formula work. But yeah,
which is the same with Three Idiots and maybe Sanju also, though I didn't watch
Three
Sanju,
Idiots, I
but I'm
started
guessing.
feeling it. I could feel the seams showing and his struggling to make things work. And even that other alien movie, PK, whatever, was fine. Like when
Oh,
he
yeah.
when he goes to climaxes, he can still make like the emotional stuff work, but that's more of skillful manipulation rather than really good core storytelling. But then, so that was my on-bill list. And I think that largely covers what all of you guys also might have, most of what you might have had on your individual list.
By
If we
and
missed
large,
anything,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I would like to add one or two things.
Yes,
So,
yes, please.
another film that I watched recently was Wonka. I don't know if you guys have seen the film.
Yeah, I want to see Wonka.
I
It's
really
nice.
enjoyed it. So I was taking Milan, my son, for the film,
Very
and
good.
and his friend, and one adult had to go with them. So I put my hand up. I do the short straw on this one. I was looking forward to going and taking a nap, which is what I generally do. But I was pleasantly hooked and surprised by this film. Timothy Chalamet
Chalamet.
was very, very chalam. Yeah, it was a good film.
It's a good
The
film.
music works,
But
the songs are good, the performances are good, the true storyline is fairly strong. I don't know if Roald Dahl was involved in any way, or this is a complete, like imagination of
I
the
don't think
backstory of Wonka. But whoever was involved in this, I don't know any of the technicians or anything, but the
yeah,
film really worked for me. Yeah,
it
definitely
is.
recommend.
I
So,
want to watch.
and Olivia Colman is in this film.
Yes.
Her second best piece of work after Folks
Yes, thank you. Which was the
this year.
best piece of work, as we have all discussed.
Yeah,
Undisputed
okay,
best
okay.
episode
All
of the
right.
year.
Her best piece of work was on Secret Invasion. I'm sorry.
I
Oh yeah,
thought you
of
would say
course, that
that.
also was there. Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Uh,
So by the way, that is a dunk on your Folks, huh? So
yes.
Secret Invasion is more ahead of Folks. So Dodi. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
uh,
Oh, and
but
I'm surprised, not surprised, I'm actually happy. Actually, I don't even know happy. I don't know if I want to watch Animal or not. With all the commentary around it now, I almost want to watch it. Because I'm like, what the fuck?
no,
What the
no,
hell?
Mancha.
Like, people are getting. So you watch the film?
I have not, but I 100%
How
agree.
can you?
We
Like,
should
what is
not.
this? This is not
No, no.
acceptable. Yeah.
I refuse.
I think I will watch the film, and I'm wondering whether I'll actually end up enjoying it also. Probably just as a, up yours, double, triple crossing the woke mob
Yeah.
kind of thing.
No.
Yeah. I think the biggest contribution of Karan Johar to pop culture this year was not Rocky or Rani, but him coming out a couple of days back and saying his favorite film of the year was Animal. So there you go.
Yeah.
Because everyone was like, oh, you can make a nice, delicate, effeminate film about, being soft and being nice, and it can be successful, which is Rocky or Rani. And then the director of Rocky or Rani comes and says, my favorite film is Animal. Talking about directors and their favorite films, so there was end of the year, all these movie channels and publications do these roundtables now. They do actor roundtables, director roundtables. So Bharadwaj Rangan and Anupama Chopra, they could now host a roundtable of roundtables, which is just like tables of people who are sitting in a circle. Gautam Vasudev Menon will be in every table. It's strange, but in one of these roundtables, in a very very offhand way, and I actually replayed it to just be sure that he actually said it. This was the I think the Tamil Cinema Roundtable on Film Companion, which was hosted by Bharadwaj Rangan. So it had Vetri Maran, it had Mani Ratnam, and it had a bunch of other Tamil cinema directors. And Mani Ratnam very casually says the best Tamil film I watched is Kurangal, which is the film I mentioned some time back. It's that art film which went to the Oscars and has won like some 40 international awards and everything. So which is why I ended up watching that film. So yeah, so just talking about directors recommending films. So Karan Johar liked Animal and Mani Ratnam liked Kurangal. So there's something to be drawn from that. Yeah.
Wonka, by the way, since you were talking about taking your son to the movie, have you seen Paddington and Paddington 2?
No, I didn't.
That's this director, and
The same
that's
director, I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do that with Milo. Tell us what he thinks, because I want to actually rewatch Paddington and Paddington 2 before seeing Wonka. Not that they are related in any way, but I've realized that I've not visited the world of Paddington in a while.
Who's the one with
Yeah.
Hugh Grant as the bad guy, right? That's two, right?
That's 2.
Two. Yeah.
Brendan
That's
Gleeson
really
is in jail, and then yeah,
So Hugh Grant is also there in Wonka. He
yeah, he's in
acts as Oompa
Oompa.
Loompa, which
He's
is
the Oompa Loompa.
and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
We like the film so much that Milo wants to watch it again. So whenever
Oh,
it's
very good.
available online. And so Shruti has already signed up to watch it with him because too
Very
much of
good.
FOMO. Both the
Yeah,
boys came back raving about this
Uh,
film.
Good,
So,
good.
yeah.
I'm glad. I want to watch Wonka. I've heard good things. I did not expect to be hearing good things, but I heard good things. Well done. Okay,
Yo.
so
I had
that
one.
was
I had one. I
sorry,
had
go ahead.
one last special mention, which is James Gunn doing Guardians 3, which basically is
Oh,
the
yeah.
death rattle of both MCU and the
Yeah.
Yes,
rattle of TCU.
correct.
I think it's
Yeah.
a significant movie that everyone will remember as the death of the franchise movie. So
Yeah.
It was a beautiful film. I really liked it. I saw it on a flight,
Hmm.
and there is this scientific logic as to why
Yeah,
you
you
like
did.
movies more when you're flying because your senses are dulled or whatever, and
Hmm.
whatever is there you latch onto,
Yeah,
which is why
you're
you
more
enjoy
emotional.
tomato juice. So I always, when I enjoy a movie on a flight,
What is
I'm
this?
never. No, really, yeah,
Drive-by
this is true.
shooting of tomato juice.
No, your taste buds are dulled. And so saltiness and sourness you really crave, which is why so Virgin Marys and Bloody Marys sell,
Yeah.
not sell, I mean, are consumed a
Yeah.
lot on flights because people actually can taste them as opposed to orange juice, I guess.
and they
So
can order it. No one judges them. That's the main reason.
Correct.
all to say, I just take my opinion on movies I see while flying with a pinch of salt. So, and hence I don't know whether I would have liked Guardians of the Galaxy 3 if I had watched it so much, but to get you to, I mean, Rocket Raccoon, one of my favorite characters in all movies ever, right? And
Bradley
the
Cooper.
way that character is depicted in this movie, you literally are crying for Rocket Raccoon, right?
Yeah.
At various
Yeah.
points in that film, it really hits home. Yeah, wonderful film. And I don't know if we did the obituary for MCU last year itself. If not, Dodi, you can do it
This
now.
is no, this is
and we'll do it.
the last thing I didn't write here was death of superhero cinema. But yeah,
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's death of superhero cinema. Like, see, the only people who really
Aquaman just
cracked
came
it
out.
was the end.
Aquaman made more than $1 billion. It is the highest grossing DC movie ever. Okay, on that side.
I know.
The sequel just came out. They didn't even do a premiere for it. It is the
Which I don't think means people are doing bad superhero movies.
Yeah,
I don't think the
it'll come
time
back.
of superheroes is gone or anything.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
you will
that's
have
this is the
someone will pick it up
hyperbole
again.
headline. No, you have to make headline clickbait.
Hey,
So death of superheroes.
clickbait, macha.
But next year is
Abura
quite.
Sagodarigal. What is this?
But next year has only Deadpool and Joker. That Joker, not DC
Time is
Joker,
up for
but
now.
Joaquin
Joaquin
Phoenix Joker Foliedu. It has only those two, and Deadpool also is not strictly inside the MCU timeline.
Yeah.
So they'll take a year.
I'm surprised actually I'm surprised Deadpool took this long to come back because they were quite successful, right? With whatever they
No,
did.
it was the
Because
Fox
of
Disney
course,
merger took time, and because now they have to fit Deadpool into MCU in some way. So they are figuring out it is technically going to be part of MCU, but it's whatever.
Yes. Oh, they
It
have
is a
to
foul
fit
merger.
Deadpool into MCU. There's one Goundamani line that I can think of. Like, ini vayasukku vanda enna varati enna type thing. Videep will appreciate this. Dodi probably won't.
Did
But
not.
yeah.
But yeah, so next year will be quiet, and I think resurgence. We'll be talking about superhero movies are back, baby, in 2025 with Superman and whatever else.
I don't know if he will be, but yeah, I wouldn't like write them off and think like DCS. I mean, they've been floundering forever. Like, when did they ever get it right? Like, Nolan got it right, and then he went away, and then it's been like a lot of misfires and something interesting in the middle, and that's it, right? So it's really MCU lost the plot, and they spread Feige, whatever his name is, spread himself too thin with trying to milk IP, faster than they should have.
Slow down
But
and make good stuff. That's the main. Anything else anybody wants to shout out?
No.
Okay. All right. I'll close. You want to close?
No, go for it. Videep can close also.
No, I'm no.
Okay, I'll close. So, chill. All right, dear listeners, dear readers, gentle readers, that was our top of the year for 2023. Lots of things for us to watch from each other's recommendations. As you can see, we've even though we technically do a podcast together, there are still so many things that we haven't seen that the other person.
So for the record, the only thing we overlapped on was Vijay sir's Leo. Like that's it.
Correct.
Nothing else. Shame.
True. Shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was it. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you have lots of things to add on to your watch list if there's anything you agreed or disagreed with. And of course, we know that Folks was the best episode of television of all time. If you disagree, you can send Nitin an email directly. But if you agree,
Actually, I disagree. So the best hour of television to come out this year was something we spoke about last week in our previous episode, which was the first episode of Fargo season 5.
Oh,
yeah. I will fight this all the way. Yeah, whatever.
It was not even the best episode featuring Juno Temple this year.
Please, if you tell me like some Ted Lasso shit was good or something, I'll I'll give up.
Maybe the other season. This is even I can't, unfortunately, being a Ted Lasso fan also, I can't stand for the latest season having anything decent. Of Juno Temple, of all the things, her character was the most sidelined of this season. All right. Like, rate, review, listen on your podcast of choice. If you have anything that you want to tell us or you want us to cover, please write in at yointermission@gmail.com or we're at yointermission on the platform formerly known as Twitter. Hope you all have a wonderful...
Please. Yeah, go on.
Hope you all have a wonderful new year and we hope to see you all soon.
Yeah. And please install Lionsgate Plus or whatever that app is, because for every install, Dodi is getting paid. Remember that. Lionsgate Plus. Sorry, what?
Use the code Dodi20.
Dodi forever 20.
Correct. All right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.